The peace-building initiative of the Philippine government through the National Action Plan on Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism or NAP-PCVE aligns with President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s Bagong Pilipinas program for a united and prosperous nation. This initiative strengthens communities, building resilience, and advancing the vision of a peaceful, progressive Philippines for all. The National Action Plan on Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism. Global, regional, and national landscape of terrorism. Terrorism continues to be a pressing global issue, with violent extremism manifesting in different forms across regions. In recent years, extremist organizations have capitalized on political instability, economic struggles, and societal grievances to recruit vulnerable individuals, leading to acts of terrorism. Internationally, groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda have extended their influence beyond the Middle East, reaching into Southeast Asia, including the Philippines. Regionally, Southeast Asia has witnessed a rise in terrorist activities, particularly in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the southern part of the Philippines. The region's porous borders, coupled with historical grievances and the socio-economic struggles of minority populations, have created fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. One of the most notable incidents in the Philippines was the Marawi siege in 2017, where local extremist groups allied with ISIS seized the city of Marawi for several months. This event highlighted the growing threat of violent extremism within the country and emphasized the need for a robust national strategy to prevent and counter terrorism. Objectives of the NAP-PCVE. In response to the increasing threat of violent extremism, the Philippine government developed the National Action Plan on Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism. This comprehensive plan aims to address the root causes of radicalization and promote long-term peace and security. The key objectives of the NAP-PCVE are as follows. Institutionalize PCVE strategies from the national down to the grassroots levels. The NAP-PCVE aims to ensure that all levels of government, from national agencies to local communities, are involved in countering violent extremism. This approach ensures that interventions are widely implemented and adapted to the local context. Involve different stakeholders across the broadest spectrum of society in implementing PCVE programs. The plan emphasizes the importance of collaboration between government agencies, civil society, religious leaders, educational institutions, and other key actors to create a unified front against extremism. Apply a comprehensive and people-centered approach to address the different drivers of radicalization. The NAP-PCVE recognizes that radicalization is driven by multiple factors, including economic, political, social, and religious elements. By adopting people-centered approach, the plan seeks to address these drivers holistically. Ensure that PCVE strategies are inclusive and culture and gender sensitive. The plan emphasizes the need for strategies that are sensitive to the diverse cultural and gender dynamics in the Philippines, particularly in regions where Muslim populations are concentrated. Ensure that PCVE strategies are anchored in human rights and international humanitarian law. By adhering to international standards, the NAP-PCVE seeks to prevent human rights violations while addressing violent extremism. Development of the NAP-PCVE. The NAP-PCVE was the product of extensive research and a series of consultations led by the Philippine government, particularly the National Security Council, to ensure that the plan was comprehensive and inclusive. Input was gathered from a diverse group of stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society organizations, academia, and religious leaders. A multi-stakeholder working group was formed to guide the development process, ensuring that the plan met international standards, particularly in relation to human rights and humanitarian law. The development process involved the following key steps: identification of vulnerable sectors, understanding which sectors were most at risk of radicalization, identification of push and pull factors, analyzing the causes and motivations behind radicalization, development of intervention programs, crafting specific programs to address the identified factors, identification of concerned stakeholders, engaging key actors to implement the programs. Vulnerable sectors. The NAP-PCVE identified several sectors vulnerable to radicalization based on research and security reports. These sectors include community members who are economically marginalized or socially isolated, persons deprived of liberty or PDL with terrorism-related cases, and violent extremist offenders or VEOs in prisons. Religious leaders who may influence or be influenced by radical ideologies. Learning institutions such as schools, universities, and madrasas where youth may be exposed to extremist propaganda. Social media users who are particularly vulnerable to online radicalization. Overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and students abroad for religious studies who may be targeted by extremist groups while abroad. Push and pull factors of radicalization. The NAP-PCVE distinguishes between push factors, which are the root causes that drive individuals toward radicalization, and pull factors, which are the perceived benefits or attractions of joining extremist groups. Push factors include poverty, unemployment, discrimination, historical grievances, and political or economic marginalization. Pull factors include the appeal of extremist ideologies, strong social bonds formed within extremist groups, promises of fame and glory, and a sense of belonging. Intervention programs to address factors of radicalization. To counter these push and pull factors, the NAP-PCVE employs a variety of intervention programs categorized as prevention, counter-radicalization, disengagement, de-radicalization, and aftercare programs. These programs are designed to prevention programs address the root causes of radicalization through long-term solutions like education, economic development, and social inclusion. Counter-radicalization programs build resilience in vulnerable communities by empowering local leaders, educators, and civil society to counter extremist narratives. These engagement programs encourage individuals to distance themselves from violent extremist ideologies. The radicalization programs focus on changing the mindset of individuals already radicalized. Aftercare programs ensure the reintegration of former extremists into society. Concerned stakeholder to implement intervention programs. Given the complex nature of radicalization, the NAP-PCVE recognizes the importance of a multi-level convergence of stakeholders from the public and private sectors. These include government agencies such as the PNP, BJMP, NICA, NSA, ATC, CHED, DILG, DOLE, OWA, PSA, SEC, BARM, and AFP. religious and traditional leaders, including women religious leaders, civil society organizations that engage with communities. The Religious Leaders Cluster of the National Action Plan on Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism, or NAP-PCVE, is led by the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, or NCMF, under the supervision of Secretary Sabuddin N. Abdurrahim. Director Kusani Mortaba Derogongan serves as the head of the Religious Leaders Cluster, spearheading efforts to engage religious scholars and communities in promoting peace and countering extremist narratives. Through interfaith and interfaith dialogue, capacity building, and advocacy, the cluster ensures that religious teachings serve as a foundation for unity, resilience, and national unity. The Religious Leaders Cluster, headed by the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, or NCMF, plays a critical role in implementing PCVE strategies, particularly within the religious sector. Religious Leaders Cluster accomplishment. The Religious Leaders Cluster has achieved several milestones, including capacitating traditional and religious leaders to play a key role in preventing radicalization, conducting peace education programs to promote peaceful values and counter extremist ideologies, organizing community visitations and roundtable discussions to foster dialogue and understanding, hosting peace caravans and mediation programs to address conflicts at the community level, holding peace summits to bring together key stakeholders for the promotion of peace and security. The NAP-PCVE is a comprehensive, inclusive, and people-centered strategy designed to address the complex and multifaceted issue of violent extremism in the Philippines. By involving a wide range of stakeholders like religious and traditional leaders and focusing on vulnerable sectors, it aims to prevent radicalization and build a more peaceful and resilient society. The success of the plan relies on sustained collaboration with our peace partners, cultural sensitivity, and deep commitment to human rights and the rule of law.